bygone day. They're the eyes of a man whose lust knows no bounds.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Horny Creek. My name is Mark. With me as always is my wife Carol. How you doing today, Carol?
Hey, what's up?
Not much. It's been a good week here. It is February 2nd, 19... No, it's not. It's 2000.
Wow, you're never going to get used to that, are you?
For fucking 10 years, I said 1990 whatever. And how long have we been doing these shows since 1994? So
yeah.
For 6 years, I've been saying, welcome to the show. It's 1990, whatever year it was. So it's hard. It's 2000, everyone. You know it. You know it's 2000. You look outside and you're like, that's a 2000 sky.
Every day when you wake up, just look in the mirror and say, it is 2000.
It's 2000. It's 2000. It's the futuristic year 2000. It's not like on Futurama where it's 1999. It's 2000.
Right.
Anybody watching that show, Futurama?
It's a great show.
From The Simpsons.
I love it.
I love the first season so far. Anyway, speaking of a show that's not Futurama, though, it's a St. Valentine's Day Massacre. I had to check the TV guide to make sure. I was like, did they release this early? Because they have there's another episode a week from now that's before Valentine's Day. They'll take, obviously you guys know, they take weeks off and stuff like that. They're not taking next week off, though. There's an episode. It's just
That's weird.
They've jumped the gun a little bit with a Valentine's Day episode, but it is Valentine's Day at the Creek.
And it's a very horny episode.
It is a pretty horny episode, I'll say. It could have been hornier, I suppose, if we'd gotten more of a look into that party, but
right.
We just see glimpses of it. Kind of like any good party where you're in your brain, you just see glimpses of it. I remember that.
Exactly.
I remember things in between, though.
All right. Where did we start?
Weirdly,
this episode?
so they've gone away from starting in Dawson's room. I guess because he's no longer into movies or whatever, that they're not watching movies in his room anymore. Now they're doing stuff out in the world. So they're teaching. It's a double team on Joey. They're teaching Joey how to drive stick.
Yeah.
Not euphemistically. Actual stick in a truck.
I'm curious, does she know how to drive at all? Are they just teaching her stick and she knows how to medic? Because
I think that's the implication. We've seen her drive before, haven't we? Or no?
No, I don't think
not.
so. I just don't know why they made a point of saying stick, because I feel like they're just teaching her to drive.
Well, they're talking about the clutch and everything. I don't know. I think it's because, as she mentioned, she's like, you're not fucking Lloyd Dobler or whatever. Mm-hmm. And he's like, what? And she has to say anything. We know who Lloyd Dobler is.
Of course, everybody knows.
Dawson knows who Lloyd Dobler is.
Yes.
From Say Anything. And then she says, when he's teaching Iona Sky, so I guess she just uses the actress's name for... No one remembers Iona Sky's character's name from Say Anything. But when he's teaching her how to drive, because he's teaching her to drive stick. And it's like, they have to have that movie reference in there. God, Kevin Williamson is fucking movie obsessed.
Yeah, well, he
was Dawson, wasn't he?
I feel like he was. They do mention they make some kind of allusion to Buffy at some point too.
They do,
like
yes.
The Hellmouth. That's it. Yeah, they mentioned the Hellmouth.
They do mention the Hellmouth. That comes later, but
yeah, all kinds of stuff. This episode's pretty packed. But...
I'll bring it up when they talk about the Hellmouth.
Okay. So Dawson's trying to teach Joey to drive the stick. And Pacey's just laying in the bed of the truck, as a third wheel, which I'm sure he's loving.
I think that's the implication, is that, because we end the episode with them together instead, when, Dawson's the third wheel, kind of. Well,
Dawson's not there.
Dawson's not even there, but you know what I mean? It's like he's going from backseat oblivion to the front seat, the driver's seat, really.
So where do we go from here, though? I'm having trouble with the timeline.
Well,
there's a party. That's a big thing.
It's not a super linear timeline. So that's just the opening bit, and it's the denouement too, where they're teaching her. Someone's teaching her how to drive stick, and then in between we have a few separate storylines. So we have But I mean, they're interconnected, but they're somewhat separate too, because we have Jack and Andy, and Andy's friend / Jack's ex-girlfriend, who's coming for Valentine's Day because she just got dumped by her boyfriend. Then we have Henry and Lolita. What's her fucking name?
Oh my God, Jen.
And we have Henry and Jen, who are going on their date finally.
Yeah.
And then we have Dawson and Joey, and like Joey being Dawson's mom the entire time for some fucking reason.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck's going on there.
And yeah, the whole backdrop of this is this party that they want to go to that they're not invited to.
So it's that Matt guy from last season who had...
Is that the same guy?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think it's the same actor, but it's supposed to be the same character.
Okay.
The guy who had all the crazy parties where Jen was like getting tag teamed and stuff, like... It's true.
Yeah.
So he's throwing a party, and it's a secret location, and you need a password, and like he has the coolest house in all of Cape Side.
The password is "I know Kung Fu."
So stupid, but like, what's cool about a golf course?
It's a password. It's a party on a golf course. Like this is the fucking like richest town ever,
right?
Is Kevin Williamson the new John Hughes, where John Hughes writes all these movies about like privileged rich kids and stuff like that, but it's like, oh, we've got problems, and it's like because he grew up rich and didn't realize he was rich, so none of these kids in these movies know they're rich. But if you look at it objectively, all their trappings are of rich people.
Right?
They live in rich, nice neighborhoods of Chicago with huge houses and shit like that.
Or like Cape Side. I mean, like it's that nice New England, small town.
That's what I'm saying. Did Kevin Williamson grow... I don't know anything about his background. Did Kevin Williamson grow up rich and didn't realize he was rich?
I bet he did.
It's the funniest thing to me about John Hughes movies, because it's like, you're out of touch. Like, you're in touch with certain aspects of youth culture in the 80s, mm-hmm. but really just your friends, like the people you grew up with, because there were many people in the 80s that lived vastly different lives than The Breakfast Club.
Well, yeah.
And it's like, it's good. He was great. He's a great writer and everything, like good and good director, like great dialogue, like he understands. He's a good filmmaker. I'm not shitting on him or anything like that, but it's just funny because he is like just a little bit out of touch, because he grew up so privileged mm-hmm. and rich, but he doesn't know it. Like, I think to this, I wish I could interview him. I think to this day, he still does not realize that. I don't think anyone's ever brought it up to him. And I've never heard about it as a criticism of his movies, but it so is like these people are all like rich privilege from a rich privileged background, with all their teenage problems. And it's like, but they don't know it, and because he doesn't know it.
Now, I do have to say for Dawson's Creek here, Joey is poor. I mean,
that's true.
He does have at least one character,
objectively so,
that is not financially well off. But everybody else seems to be doing great.
But it doesn't really affect her either. Well, like, it's supposed to affect her and stuff like that, but yet she still has the nicest clothes. And, like, she's not, like, I mean, I guess, because she's trying to start this bed, like all poor people, she's trying to start a bed and breakfast. And it's like, at the beginning, like, when she had to work and no one else did, I guess, kind of, but, like...
Dawson and Pacey both have jobs.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
At the video store. We just rarely ever talk about it.
Right, because they're rarely there.
So, yeah.
A lot of high school kids, though, don't have jobs, which is fine. They're all supposed to be 16, even though they're 25.
Right. So, let's start with Jen and Henry. Henry is at the blood bank asking to donate plasma.
Yeah.
Not just blood, but plasma for the second time.
In under 48 hours.
And the nurse is like, no.
No, you can't do it. It's illegal. It's
absolutely not.
It's against medical advice, all this stuff. And he's like, oh, let me tell you something. There's like, I want to buy this gift for for this girl I'm taking on a date, and there's some guy out there that just like he like really gets her loins going. Like he's
it's awful.
It's
gross.
It really is. It's weird. And he's like, there's some guy that's just aching for you out there, and everything. And he would want to sell his blood too. She's like, he's probably a doctor.
Yeah, so she falls for this for some reason. I don't think that's very realistic. I don't think that would happen.
She agrees to let him donate plasma again within 48 hours. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
Like, this is fucked up. No medical professional would ever do this.
And it's stupid. Like, he explains to her the whole thing, too. He's like, I worked for 2 weeks to get the meal for this girl. I just want to get her a present. But you don't need to bring a gift on a date.
No.
That's a dumb idea. And the fact that she, as the adult in this situation, isn't like, oh, honey.
Yeah.
I'm sure she'll be fine with just dinner.
Mm-hmm.
What? Like, lady. And, like, she knows the date's that night.
Yeah.
He's not going to be okay. They're both stupid.
So he picks her up, and she's...
Well, before he picks her up, she is freaked out. She's, like, asking Graham's advice when she's getting ready about, like, what to wear. I mean, she put on the other dress. But anyway.
She's like, what should I wear? Should I wear the red one? Or she's like, it's Valentine's Day. Wear the red one.
So she puts on the black one.
Yeah, of course she does.
Sourpuss.
It's like a funeral.
But, like, Grams can tell, too. She's like, oh, you're nervous. It's cute, or whatever. And John's like, I'm not nervous. It's just a date, blah, blah, blah. And she's so nervous. It's so cute. She really likes him.
And she puts on the black dress. He shows up, and he's like, oh, my God, you're so beautiful, or whatever.
And he looks like a vampire.
He does. Like, I mentioned that it's so weird that they mention Buffy in this episode because I said he looks like he could be... I was thinking more Interview with a Vampire because of the way he's dressed, but he looks like that.
Yeah, he's very, very pale.
They did a good job with the makeup.
And she even says, Henry, you look a little peaked. Are you okay? Like, he's an idiot. The whole thing just pisses me off.
So they go to dinner, and they're sitting there eating, they're sitting there about to eat, and he's like starting to fall asleep or whatever.
Yeah.
And she's like, am I boring you? What's going on?
And he's like, no, I'm just resting my eyes. And she gets pissed. And she's like, well, why don't you just lay your head down? He's like, okay. And he falls off the stool.
He just collapses, faints. It's like on an ambulance.
And, like, she doesn't even know, I mean, like, eventually, obviously, he has to tell her. But, like, he should have told her to begin with, so she knew why he was weird.
Well, it's funny because, like, he's like... I hate the way he acts in this episode, kind of. Because he's all like... I wanted everything to be pretty... He sounds like a little kid.
He does.
And it's like... I don't know. I thought he had more maturity than that, or was supposed to. But he's like, I wanted everything to be perfect, and I sold my blood. And she's like, what? He's like, I sold my blood twice in 48 hours so I could afford to buy you this. And he holds up the... She's like, this is a ring. Like... It is pretty forward. But he's like, it's a red... tungsten. What does he say it is?
It was it's orange, but it's some kind of red. Like she calls it orange.
Yeah, it's something. I don't know. But we don't even get to see it.
No,
they don't. They don't have any coverage of it at all. There's no close up of it.
They couldn't find an orange.
I don't think the ring exists. But she's like, oh, and she goes to try it on, and it will not fit at all.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I wanted it to be perfect. It's ruined. And they put him in the ambulance, and I was like, come on, just go to the hospital.
Right.
But she goes home.
She goes home and whines to Grams, who's like, oh, your next date will be better. And she's like, oh, there's not going to be another date. There's not going to be a
next date.
Like,
he sold his blood and collapsed.
I don't get how in her mind that means they're done now.
Right.
Like, how do you not just feel like, oh, he's so sweet?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't think that's a realistic reaction. That's written by a man, obviously.
Yeah. Grams is the voice of reason. Mm-hmm. Grams is like, look, she's like, I don't understand, like, why the fuck, like, he wants to take me out to this big fancy dinner, buy me a ring and everything. She's like, well, maybe he thinks that's what you're looking for out of him. Yeah,
she said something like, he's trying to act sophisticated.
Because he thinks that's what you want.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, fuck. So then she does go to the hospital and eats Jell-O with him. And they thank our Lord and Savior Bill Cosby for the Jell-O. There's Jello shots at the party, and that's
there's a lot of Jello going on this episode.
That's when they, I think that's the juxtaposition. That's when they actually mention Bill Cosby with the alcohol-filled Jello.
I wonder if Jello paid for advertisement in this episode.
But she's like, they talk to each other and everything, and she's like, let's just be ourselves. Let's not try to be have dinner like we're 30-year-olds, let's just try to be ourselves. And he's like, okay, and he's like, I can take the ring back and get my blood back. And she was like, no. She's like, this is the best orange tungsten pinky ring ever or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, she's like, and it reminds me of you, so it's extra special, which was cute and sweet.
It's sweet. So I guess they're a couple now, or they're going to be a couple. I don't know.
I hope so. I mean, this episode didn't end in her rejecting him for once.
Yeah.
But, it still didn't end great for them.
She seemed to accept it.
Yeah.
I guess. She accepts that he is inevitable.
She cannot escape Henry.
So let's talk about Jen. No, not Jen. We just talked about Jen. Let's talk about Andy and Jack and... I don't know. She's a pretty girl, the actress.
His ex-girlfriend.
I don't remember her name.
Let's call her...
Claire.
Okay. So Claire has been invited to visit. Now, it's Andy and Jack in their home by themselves because basically the dad's like absentee dad.
Yeah, they don't have the money for him.
And so they've invited this other teenager from out of state to come stay with them. And there's no adult supervision.
Right.
And that's totally realistic.
And they're like... Andy's like, you gotta tell her that you're gay or whatever. And he's like, oh, okay, I'll tell her that I'm gay.
He doesn't want to. He already didn't want to. He's very upset about being put in this position. He's like, why would you invite her here? She's my ex. It's Valentine's Day. It's awkward.
She's the kind of person that never lets you finish a sentence, too.
Yeah.
Like the most annoying person in a movie or TV show. But also there are some people like that in real life. Mm-hmm. And... So she's like, oh, we broke up or whatever. Like, I broke up with this guy, and I'm so sad. And, we had something good or whatever. Like, how have you been, Jack? And Jack's like, well, it's funny you should ask that because actually I'm... And she's like, oh, my God. She starts crying, and she's like, that reminds me of how he's like, oh, it's funny you should ask, why I'm breaking up or whatever because I'm gay. And she's like, so he's gay, and I'm devastated.
Yeah. So Jack's like, oh, never mind. I didn't want to tell you anything because he thinks it's going to make her feel worse.
I mean, honestly, kind of. I get that.
Yeah. I mean, having two dudes decide they'd rather be with guys after being with you. that can't feel good.
But it's not really a decision. You're born like that.
Right.
We know that, everyone.
No. But I'm saying, I can see the twistiness in the brain happening there.
Sure. So... They go to the party. Earlier in the episode, Pacey, because they don't know where the party is. They find out what the password is, but they don't know where the party is.
Yeah, Jack's the one who got the password somehow.
So Pacey talks to his brother, and he's like, "Hey,
Dougie."
Yeah, I don't remember what he says, but he's like,
he asked if he can go on a ride along.
Yeah, I know. I remember that. He's like, I think he said, you want to hang out tonight or whatever, and he's like, oh, I'm busy, and he's like, well, let's do a ride along. He's like, no, it's going to be boring. I just sit at the golf course because I heard that there's some party at the golf course. And he's like, hey, you don't know about a party at the golf course, do you? And he's like, no, I heard that Witch Island. Remember that episode we did? There's going to be one there with the ghosts. But I haven't heard about the golf course. So knowing that they know there's going to be a party at the golf course, they still go?
Yeah. Well, I mean, how afraid is he of the police? It's his brother and his father.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And I think that's the entire police department.
Yeah. So they go, they figure out where the party is, and they find it. And it's Dawson and Joey and Pacey and Andy and Jack and the girl.
Yeah.
So the 6 of them.
So 2 exes. No, 3 exes. Three ex couples.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I didn't even realize that when we were watching it.
Mm-hmm.
That's so messed up.
Yeah.
So they go up to the party, and the guy's like, I didn't invite you. Which, come on, the whole school's there. Why be a dick?
I know, seriously. And these 6 pretty people aren't, popular enough for this party? Come on. I've been to high school. I know what it's like.
So they give the password, and he's like, well, anybody coming in needs to have one of these, and he's handing out Jell-O shots. I thought for sure they had drugs in them.
I didn't know what the fuck was going to happen, but...
Apparently, we're just supposed to believe that one Jell-O shot makes you crazy. I
guess so. Because they're all like, oh, you're going to get us fucking drunk and take advantage of us young girls or whatever. The girls say that. And what's hilarious is all three of the guys take the Jell-O shot. Mm-hmm. The new girl takes a Jell-O shot. And then Andy is like, I'm the designated driver. And Joey's like, no.
Yeah.
And there are no consequences for this. It's like, I thought that was admission to the party. You had to take a Jell-O shot.
Well, apparently you can get in if you're a pretty girl.
I guess so.
But yeah, Joey's such a stick in the mud.
And what a weird, such a weird fucking thing. It's like going to a crack house and like wanting to hang out in a crack house and be like, hey, admission though is
gotta
smoking
do some crack.
this crack. You know, it's like, what a horrible thing. Like, it's like you're going to a party and it's like, hey, you can't come in here unless you've had some alcohol. Okay.
Well,
that we provide to you for free.
Katie Holmes got Joey
Holmes.
Joey didn't want to go to the party though. That's that. I mean, she was objecting the whole time. She was trying to get
such a stick in the mud this episode.
She was trying to get the guys to like run a movie. She's like, let's just stay in.
Let's make it a blockbuster night.
Yeah.
She says she uses the tagline and everything.
See, maybe they paid for that shit. And the guys are like, well, how are you going to get there? How, you can't drive.
Gotta come with us. And she's like, Dawson, why do you want to drink a Jell-O shot, Dawson? Stop drinking Jell-O shots, Dawson.
And she's like, this isn't you. Like, why is he not allowed to be a person? Like, she has him on such a high pedestal.
I know, and she wants to control every single one of his actions.
Like, if I were him...
fucked up.
Yeah, if I were him, I'd go grab the fucking tray and eat it. I mean, like...
Yeah, no shit.
Shut up, Joey.
So, they're in a golf cart. They're on golf carts.
Yeah, there's 3 golf carts containing the 2 girls, Andy and the sober ones, mm-hmm. Andy and Joey.
Yeah.
And then they put Dawson with Jack's ex.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got Jack and Pacey.
Yes.
Yeah. So they're trying to hook Dawson and the ex-girl up. And they go off on their own.
They do. They go for a walk at one point. But like preamble to that is they're looking for this is when they're looking for the party. So before the Jell-O shots. And she says something like, oh, whatever, guys. I guess guys don't think I'm, they think I'm ugly or whatever. And Dawson's like, what are you talking about? You're beautiful. He goes, and you're beautiful in the way that beauty used to mean something. Which I don't know what that means, but I get it's a
classic beauty. I think what he's trying to say.
It's a good sounding line.
Yeah.
And so she's all blushing and everything. And then at the party after they've done their Jell-O shots, he's like, "Hey, you want to go for a walk?" And she was like, "Okay," so they go for a walk. And during the walk, she's like, "I know what's going on, Dawson. You're the gallant, nice guy and everything." That takes the head case away from the rest of the people so they don't have to deal with her and everything. And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, how do you even know I'm a nice guy? I could be a bad guy. And she laughs.
That's so rude.
Well, I mean, it is true. And I know looks aren't everything, but he looks like a puppy.
He does.
James Van Der Beek has to be the least intimidating human being I've ever seen. And not because he's weak or anything. He looks like he's relatively fit and stuff, but he just doesn't have a mean face.
No, he's got a very kind face. And Dawson just, that's how he carries himself.
Mm-hmm. So he's like, she's like, you're not the kind or whatever. He's like, how do you know I'm not trying to take advantage of your vulnerable state and situation? And she's like, because you just said vulnerable state and situation.
Right.
The guys that are going to do that don't think like that.
And they don't say anything about kissing a girl. They just do it.
Right. That's what it comes down to. She's like, you talk too much and think too much about stuff. If you really want to be this, just do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so then he goes to kiss her, but she vomits. Because apparently one Jell-O shot's just enough.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think there was something more to those shots.
I think they put Epicac in those shots.
But at least she turns away. At least it doesn't get vomited on.
No.
But
no kiss anymore.
No, no kiss.
You need more than a cert to fix that. You need at least a tick and a tack.
And so then we've got Joey and Andy talking in their golf carts.
Yeah.
And I disagree. I think this is after the jello shots because this is when they get pulled over.
Oh, yeah, it is after the jello shots. You're right.
So,
but she mentions it's before the walk because she mentions the if you're like, especially if you're going to say something like when beauty meant something or whatever,
But yeah, so the girls are talking and Joey's talking about how annoying Pacey is.
Pacey's always trying to get us into messes, and he's always fucking with Dawson and making him into a bad guy. And Pacey's such a bad guy, and he's a bad influence, and he wants to go to parties, and how dare he and stuff. And Andy's like, you sound just like me just before I started dating him.
Like, do you think? And it looks like Andy's figuring it out through the episode. Like that there's that statement, and then just a couple of looks later too.
Yeah, I agree. I think so.
But I wonder if she's bothered by it.
She doesn't seem to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, they get pulled over, and it's Dougie. Officer Dougie gets them all pulled over.
He arrests all the kids.
Yeah. Pacey was at the party. Pacey's the only one we actually see at the party.
Who is drunk.
Hanging upside down in a tree doing a like a beer bong or something.
Yeah. He's like, did I do it right? Yeah, he's definitely the most wasted.
So they all get arrested and thrown in jail, all in the same jail cell. I guess that's a small town thing, though.
But I mean, like, does he have a paddy wagon? How does he get all these kids there? It's kind of crazy.
There's a lot of kids there.
Yeah, he only has one car.
Yeah.
Whatever. So, and then he lets them all go at once. Whose parent is taking all those kids?
Well, Dawson's dad. Because Dawson's parent's the only one there. They're like, you're all free to go.
So weird.
And they all rush to Dawson's dad. Thank you, TV's The Flash.
But before that happens, while they're in the jail cell...
Yeah, they have a long conversation.
Pacey loses his shit.
Well, because Dawson's like... So, first of all, they... what's her name? Claire. Whatever we're calling her.
Yeah, the girl, ex-girlfriend.
Is talking... And she's like, oh, what a night or whatever. And Jack, like, finally is, like, trying to tell her what's going on. Like, hey, so I got this thing to tell you. And she, again, interrupts him. But she figures it out. First of all, she's like, oh, you want to get back together? And he's like, then she sees the look on his face. And she's like, oh, my God, you're gay. And he's like, yeah, I am. And she looks at Dawson, and she's like, are you gay? And he goes, no. And she goes, because apparently it's a prerequisite to want to kiss me to be gay. And then Katie Holmes, Joey, is like, you kissed her? And she's all pissed. And she's like, this isn't you, Dawson, kissing strange vixens and like, whatever. And that's when he, like, when Pacey finally, flips out.
Yeah, but Joey, like, what, is she jealous? Like, what the fuck is going on?
I don't know what's going on with her, because she's all like, yeah, this isn't you, and why are you acting like this and all this stuff. So the past, like, few episodes, she's been like that. And he's like, can you just fucking get off my back and let me make my own decisions? And, like, why are you always haranguing me about this shit? And then that's when Pacey, like, is like, you know what? Like, what the fuck? Like, I shouldn't involve myself in the great Joey Dawson love affair, like, when are you two kids going to get back together? And he's talking about how, like, oh, they're so sacred of a thing. And he's like, Joey, like, no one can even get close to you because of the memory of Dawson or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And Andy is the only one who seems to understand that he's like in love with her.
Yeah.
Like, everybody else just takes this for like a drunk outburst and whatever. I don't know. But it's obvious. Yeah. It's obvious.
So they all yell at each other, kind of.
Yeah. And then like you said, they all the other kids get to leave, and then Pacey's dad Pacey's brother's like, nope, Dad said you got to stay the night.
Dad thinks it'd be good if you stayed the night because he's an asshole. Even though you guys had a breakthrough in your relationship before, but
Well, they didn't yet. They do after they're alone, after everybody else leaves.
No, not the brother. Not the brothers.
Oh, the dad.
The dad.
Yeah.
There was an episode where they had some sort of emotional
Yeah,
breakthrough,
that's true.
It doesn't matter anymore.
The dad probably blacked out and doesn't remember anyway. But yeah, his brother asked him, he's like, so what is going on with you? I found you drunk upside down in a tree. Something's wrong.
You're right.
It's got to be a girl, right? And so eventually Pacey tells him. And he doesn't tell him specifically who.
Right.
But he does talk about having feelings for somebody and that, he doesn't think that it matters or would work out or whatever. And Dougie says, you need to just tell him. Mm-hmm. And then the next thing we know, it's morning. And Pacey's walking across Joey's lawn up to her door. And we're like, yes, it's happening.
He's going to tell her.
Now, I have a problem with this.
Yeah.
He was completely wasted.
Right.
How is he fine? He should be feeling like shit. He should 16. Be hungover. I guess.
Because actual 40-year-old actor wouldn't be, but he's supposed to be 16. They're very resilient.
That's true. So he knocks on her door, and they have a heart-to-heart, which you need to help me with. Oh,
I do?
You do.
Okay. They talk.
You can't remember either.
No, I can't.
Oh, he apologizes to her for whatever.
Yeah, I remember him saying oh, sorry for my drunken outburst and whatever. It's the substance of it isn't super memorable, obviously, and it doesn't matter that much, honestly. But he doesn't confess his love. He it seems like he starts to, but then he segues into you need somebody that's nice to you about learning how to drive clutch.
Yeah, he was totally going to, and he chickened out.
Yeah, and so he's like, I'll help you drive. And she's like, right now? He's like, yeah. So then he teaches her how to drive stick, and it works.
And it's like, say anything with Lloyd Dobler.
Yeah, and Iona Sky, or whatever her character's name is.
I don't know. I have no idea what the fuck her name is.
But yeah, and that's how the episode ends. So I thought it was a good episode. It's always fun when the kids do kid things.
Yeah, there was a lot going on. Mm-hmm. Where are you at with this? Are you Team Dawson or Team Pacey? Because
I don't know there were teams, but
because it seems like the show is kind of she's jealous of Dawson and all up in Dawson's stuff, and then Pacey's longing after her. So
I will say, a year ago, I would have been like, what the fuck, Pacey, you fucking, you little scavenger, taking your best friend's scraps or whatever, not cool.
Yeah.
But at this point, there's so much distance between Dawson and Joey that, I don't know, I think it's worth it.
You think it'd be okay? You don't think that it would be a terrible betrayal of his friendship to Dawson if he made a move on Joey?
No, I think he should probably talk to Dawson about it first, but I feel like they somewhat had that conversation in the whole dance school fiasco thing.
Not really.
Not 100%, no, but
it's not like Pacey did not confess that he had any feelings for her. Dawson was just take her off my hands or something like that.
What do you think?
I think that it would be good. Like you said when we were watching the episode, they have good chemistry. So I think it'd be good if they were together, but I worry about Dawson and Pacey's friendship. I really do.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think that it's something to explore. Yeah. He should say something to him, but...
So you think he should talk to Dawson before he tells
Makes a move,
Joey?
Yeah. That's what I think, yeah.
We'll see.
That's what I would do. But anyway, that is the episode for the week, Carol. Tell people where they can find their own Jell-O shots.
So you can write us at latefee1994@aol.com. Mm-hmm. Check out our website at www.retrolatefee.com.
Yep.
And share the tapes with your friends.
I'm just saying thanks to my blah, blah, blah.
Whoa.
That was the backward speaking that I do every episode. I usually edit that out, but all right, we will see you next week, everybody. Bye.
Holy shit.